wow. Okay. Is it Battle? Is the name in Texas or?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm Miss Battle.
Oh, Miss Battle? Is this like an online pseudonym as well, or?
Well, most of the time, I usually tend to mostly go to ex-Christian, just the subreddit there, and also the one for Heathen 03.
As your name, or? Sorry, I guess this is.
About my name. Oh, that's my last name.
Oh, that's a cool last name.
Yeah, that's a cool last name. Sorry, I was gonna say, like, is it French? It's Betlay or something, and there's no accent here, or no? It's.
I'm assuming it's English.
I think it is. I think it means an organized fight or struggle.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess that you're probably going to have a good laugh about my name and my beliefs.
Well,
so
probably more about your name than your beliefs, because names are just that. A rose by any other name would believe in no gods or something. But it says here that you wanted to talk about atheism.
Well, yes and no. I'm one of those people who's literally in the middle. I'm not an atheist, but I'm not a theist either. I'm actually a polytheist.
Well, that's a type of theist.
It kind of counts. I mean, it says here that you're calling from Texas. I'm assuming that you didn't vacation somewhere to call from a payphone from a place you don't live. Living in Texas, you're surrounded by a specific sort of spectrum of theism that does not truck well with polytheists, so I can...
Right. So you're not of one of the Abrahamic religions, not one of those monotheistic religions. Okay.
And it's like really weird because of it, I'm experiencing a lot of guilt. Like, I feel I'm contributing to the problem, with theists basically trying to make the laws in their way, and it's like, no,
you are not. So I can say this, right? Like, I think that V and I probably have very different feelings about, for example, Mayor Pete, or other current Democratic candidates, et cetera, or other political statements. I don't have a problem as far as this is not a theocracy. The United States is not a theocracy, nor should it be for any religion. But
get that right.
Yeah, just because a person believes in a god or gods or higher power or healing crystals doesn't mean that they're that they're contributing to the notion that everyone should have to follow the 10 Commandments as law or get hit with federally produced stones or something.
And I will have to say this: it has been a very interesting path, because originally I was raised Baptist, and then
I'm sorry to hear that.
Down the road, sorry.
No. Yeah. Sorry on your behalf.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. When I say that, I mean, I'm sorry that was your past, not that you told me.
Oh, right. Yeah, I feel that was very unfortunate too. But when you're born and raised in Alabama, mostly everybody is Christian or Southern Baptist.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So how recently actually did you become not a Baptist?
Well, I've been agnostic. I was agnostic for about 3 or 4 years, and then in the last couple of months, I've become, heathen, or if you will, Norse pagan.
Okay. What about that made you feel like it was the right move? Like what about that?
I don't really want to get into the woo-woo parts,
Sure.
But it kind of fits with my values. I mean, I have a lot of respect for nature, and I'm a big person. I'm really big on community and helping others, and basically standing your ground when it comes to your views and stuff. which has been kind of a hard thing for me because I was literally raised to be, I guess I was raised to be a meek,
Yeah,
quiet,
I feel that.
submissive, and I hated that about myself. So I feel this is just the path for me, I suppose.
Now you're a Viking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But that's weird. But it's funny, though, because I'm African American, and I'm kind of struggling with that because I feel like I'm appropriating, you know?
I mean,
the thing about appropriation, and let me tell you about appropriation as a white person, because that's always going to be very
you're
helpful.
statistically more likely to have personal experience appropriating
goodness.
things.
Right.
As
I think
am I.
what I have read from people who have a problem with that word is that we have said it's become a broad umbrella term for doing anything that is outside of your specific culture. And that's not what it means. You, I don't think, have to worry about appropriating Norse mythology because you have not been part of a system that oppressed Norse mythology or denigrated it in any way or shamed other people for participating in it. So you can participate in it without having all of that extra baggage, which is what makes something problematic when you're engaging in that.
Yeah.
You know?
It's less about the rule of don't do anything with other cultures and more about be aware of the way that other cultures and people that belong to those cultures have been treated and adjust the behaviors, particularly ones publicly, that you have about that because that affects, a greater narrative and affects other people that are to that, right?
This is very true.
Here I go. Hey, look at the color of my skin, and also I'm still talking. So, both, I am neither a musician nor an expert on musical history, but rock and roll and jazz, my understanding, both developed out of musical traditions from people of color in the United States, but when I listen to jazz or rock and roll or et cetera, I don't feel that I'm appropriating a culture. Maybe I'm wrong. I admit that I would be surprised by that in that case, but it's not the same as, for example, I don't know, any other number of I can't even begin to list appropriations, and I feel like if I try, it's going to get worse than it already is.
I think from my perspective, you're in the clear on that front.
Okay.
It has the white person seal of approval.
Again,
Sorry.
As somebody who is 50-ish% Northern European, I have no problem with that. But also
but you weren't. It's a cultural thing.
It's a cultural thing. It's a tradition. Also, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, they're all Eastern religions, and the entire West has decided that it's theirs now.
Yeah.
So
you could argue that white Jesus is the worst form of appropriation.
Exactly. That's
most
the
of the time, the Black church, we have Black Jesus, so there's that.
I go for yes. Do that, please.
Preferably the church
don't
bit,
do the
maybe not so
church
much.
part, but
No, I think it's a valid question to ask for sure. I think whenever you're entering into a space that is new for you, to ask, what are the power structures here? How can I interact with these people in a way that is, respectful and honest and integrity based? So that's great that you're asking that question, but I don't think that should be something you worry about personally.
Yeah, I will have to admit it does get pretty awkward at times, especially it's one of the reasons why I'm really careful on who I talk to online about this kind of thing, because I'm not sure if you guys are aware of the folkish and the white supremacist side.
Yes, I was going to bring that up as well.
I have to watch out for that too.
Yeah. Yep. It's the show is called Talk Heathen.
Woo!
And woo, yeah. It's actually not the reason that at one point I've been called white supremacists that supported anti-Semitic whatevers, or a Nazi, not forgetting that literally everyone in my family 2 generations back was on the Nazi hit list. But whatever, that doesn't justify or condemn any behaviors that I do. But
it makes sense that you would be hesitant to share that with certain people because there has been that I would argue is appropriation. To grab that culture and say, we're going to use this in order to justify a horrible set of beliefs.
Yeah, I would also argue that it's also just stupid.
It's also just kind
like even beyond race baiting and hateful. It is annoying how stupid, oppressive, and hateful ideologies are, because it makes me so want to mock them. But about the part that is less damaging, right? Like Hitler waved his hands around like an idiot when he was talking, but you can't really make fun of that because you have to also be like, okay, genocide and the Nazi regime is much more important than what are you doing with your hands right now? Like I spend a lot of time thinking about gestures, but yeah, never mind. I'm getting way off track here. I can actually send me an email after the show, etc. Ocean, who's a prominent, I guess, atheist ally, because he's also a pagan of the Norse variety.
Oh, cool. Because
put you in touch.
One thing I kind of feel guilt for, because being, pagan, I feel like not only that, but I also feel kind of foolish in a way, because here I am, a person who used to be agnostic, who's like, oh, well, I'm rational this and I'm rational that. But I'm like, look at me now. I'm pagan.
So there's that. And actually, that's probably where we should go with the show, which is so we can put you in touch with other people that in many cases honor and in many cases believe in factual claims related to traditions. Mm-hmm. Side note, I think it's great to celebrate holidays and to practice non-harmful to humans generally traditions. It's one of the things that makes community and feeling like, you're part of a group that understands and loves each other that easy. I don't think it depends on, for example, believing that there's a magic bunny that hides eggs, right? Mm-hmm. You can put Steve in a bunny suit and make him hop around because no one really likes him and he was going to drink a little bit anyway, and then he's cheery and entertains the kids on Easter or around that time, even without saying, oh, by the way, this rabbit and eggs are not pagan symbols of fertility. They mean Jesus is reborn.
Jesus.
Yeah,
they mean
everything
Jesus.
Means Jesus.
Everything means Jesus unless I don't like it, and then it's Satan.
Here's what I'd say. I personally am not a polytheist. I don't have any God beliefs, and I have yet to be convinced by anybody who does. But I don't make judgments about people based on whether or not they believe in gods. I make judgments based on how they interact in the world and whether or not those beliefs are harmful to other people. And from my experience,
is a really good point.
Yeah, I don't care. Like you can believe whatever you want, but you need to make sure that those beliefs are positively impacting the way you engage with others. And a lot of pagans and a lot of heathen people that I know, and I have many, many friends in that community, are some of the best, nicest, most accepting and progressive people. And I love being around them, even though that one thing that is different, they believe that there are gods, I do not, still exists. And we can disagree about that. But I don't dislike them or think that they're bad people at all.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I want to be.
Yeah.
Basically a progressive person who wants to contribute good to the world.
Then let's be friends.
Yeah. Why can't we be friends? There's literally no reason why we can't. We should be friends.
Yeah.
Let me shorten that song down to its core elements. Yeah.
It's okay. I don't know the words either.
I mean, I know the first part that I just said. Actually, you know what? I don't know any other words. Good. Yep. I called out before I knew it. So there's that. Hopefully we can still be friends, but I'd like to touch on just a little bit why you believe what you believe. And even before that, what it is that you believe about the Norse gods and theology.
Well, like I mentioned earlier, the beliefs actually go hand in hand with mine. And to be honest with you, I've had some really strange coincidences. I don't exactly how to really discuss or talk about them without coming off as like a mad woman, if you catch my drift, you know?
I think I may know what you are hinting at or talking about. And it makes me hopeful for the end of this conversation and the second time that you call in, because you should definitely call in again next week, because us being tight on time means that, there's only
of course,
so many more.
Because I'm pretty sure you got some more interesting BS on the line.
It's interesting. Our calls are thin this week, and I hate to throw, if you're watching live into this, because most of the viewers of this episode will not be live, though they can message me about later when they watched it. But call in, encourage, Uncle Sam that wants to talk about flagellum and how therefore Jesus to call in as well, because I'm well prepared for that. I've got some liquid patience in this flask over here that says literally liquid patience on it.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure right now the chat room
it just
is
lit
like
up
on fire.
Right.
Like, holy shit.
Oh, well, here. So in any case, so I flipped over to the chat, and one of the questions is, what is Jamie on? And I'm sitting on a chair. So there's that. But what is it that you believe as far as what is existent? Like, do you believe in the literal existence of, Thor, for example?
Well, I do, but at the same time, I don't. I believe in the gods, but at the same time, I feel like we won't ever truly know what they are. You understand what I'm saying?
I believe that I understand in what context you say that, because there's a friend of mine that I've known for more than a decade and a half. We were talking about this earlier, and we thought that we'd known each other longer. But in any case, that I've a separate friend that I've known for a decade and a half, who is less specific in sort of theological supernatural practices, but that when we did have a conversation about this, I was like, okay, but do you believe this is literally true? Like, do you believe literally that this God... Precisely.
I don't think the myths are true, but I don't know. It's really hard to explain. I just believe there's these forces out there,
I think
like in their own goddamn dimension, that are capable of, controlling and manipulating reality.
So
It's something I'm still struggling to understand.
Do you mind if I ask, do you mind if you don't believe that the myths are true, where are you getting these ideas from? Is there some kind of text, some kind of community? Is there I'm not sure what the religious leaders in that movement would be called. Like, where are you getting these concepts from, I guess?
Well, what I mean, the myths aren't really true. I mean, basically, the characterizations of the gods, I could kind of see that, but their feats and the ice giants, not so much.
Okay.
Do you, so for example, there's a lightning storm outside. Do you think that in any way relates to Thor?
No.
Okay, so
not at all.
What role do these beliefs, we'll call them, play in your life, right? Because I actually don't know. Do you make sacrifices to gods or whatever?
Well, I don't make sacrifices, but I do make offerings. Usually it consists of food items, alcohol. Mostly
Can I have them? No, no, I'm joking. But so is that just because it's because it's a Wednesday, or is that like, I have to take the LSAT tomorrow. Hey, Odin.
Let's see.
have this whiskey and give me some of your wisdom.
Yeah, it's something like that. Usually I tend
Okay.
to, at first I was making offerings at least once a month, but as of late, I've been making them at least weekly just as a form of thanks.
Right.
Because
So
it's mostly just in the form of asking for inspiration.
okay, so I need to move on to a couple of other calls.
That's what?
Yeah, but before I go, and I want you to hopefully call back in, or at very least engage online. I don't know whether you use Reddit or Discord. Definitely go into both, and then also get in touch with me because I can put you in touch with, among other people, Ocean.
Awesome.
Yeah. All the humans should have other humans that make them know that it's valid to be human. That's part of my philosophy. But it sounds to me that you, like actually multiple friends of mine, find more comfort in the practices than the intellectual evaluation of whether or not this or that is actually the way that things work, right? Like it's less important that, well, are lightning and thunder actually things created or thrown by Thor, and more about being thankful for positive things and being hopeful for positive things, or being sad about negative things in terms of the practice, like the religious practices or ceremonial practices. Is that somewhat touching on something that you can see in your life?
Yeah, actually, it's close to it, yes.
Yeah, so
Well,
those
like I
things are
said.
true for me as well, and I don't believe in any gods. And
That's
it's
okay.
one of Shelley Siegel's many songs is, she actually wrote it, I think, in commemoration of Hitchin's death, which is, I forget what it's titled, but it's, I don't believe in these things, but it won't take away from my gratitude. It's probably called Gratitude. But it's that, which is I can feel thankful and hopeful, and I can, and sometimes do, engage in what someone might call like a ritual, or they might try and call, if they were trying to annoy me, a superstitious practice, right? Because I recognize that the human mind does a lot of weird things that are the result of the way that it evolved. And I can play with it. Yeah, is that the point that you wanted to make? Yeah, okay.
I like this person. Yeah, if you send an email to, what's the Talk Heathen?
You can send one to TV at, and if you throw Talk Heathen in the subject line, we'll pay attention to it.
Yeah,
if you
I'll
send
keep
one
an
to,
eye out for it specifically.
Yeah.
Because
But do you guys have this information on your subreddit?
we should, or it should be in the description of the video
yeah, so,
once it goes up.
When you say this information in the subreddit, yes, if you contact us on Reddit as well, r/Talk Heathen, just those two words. Yeah. Yeah, there it is. It's on the bottom of the screen. Boom, right there. Go back, watch yourself, and now you have a reason to pretend you're not vain.
Yeah,
but
I'm actually not by my computer right now. That's why I asked.
Okay.
oh, you're fine.
It'll be on the video for sure.
Yeah, we will live forever as long as the internet exists. But thank you for
What about
calling.
cloning?
What about cloning?
One day.
The internet will still exist. Who knows? But I think we're going to move on to other callers. Thank you, Ms. Battle, for calling in, and hope to keep in touch with you as time goes on. Let's see if we can